I'm going to put this one on both of everything and everything else. And I don't really care if I mess anybody up or anything. It's not like people really watch my stuff. And I'm probably put on a private server here, like I was for my Facebook account, where only 12 people can look at it. And that was how it was from the time that I started my Facebook account when the first movie Machete came out. And I'm just saying about here on YouTube with everything um, and everything else, because it's not really their fault. It's mostly people that I've hung around, like, you know, Jeremy Metcalf, the McManuses, Skippy's family, um, Clarence's family, everything else, the Zellers family locally out here. And there's so many of them that they're not going to be able to tell the difference. The Sharp and Spears family around here, and most of the principalities. I mean, that's just the north and east side, because the south and west side are just workaholics that don't know anything. And now and then, the people in downtown Knoxville meet one person, and it's like, I know the world from it and can convince people I do, like politicians do in Washington, D.C. or something. Anyway, just moving right along here. Clarence was hacking the place last night, trying to hit me in the stomach. And he likes doing this little ultrasound thing that he figured out in like the 80s, which is when I got interested in physical therapy, because it was the future of weaponry and everything else with it. And he's been cutting on my stomach and everything else, saying that he's going to make me look like the people that they epicact and whatever it is from my great uncles and great great uncles. And they all died within 30, 40 days of each other in nursing homes that were connected and had traveling nurses between them with everything else. Can't prove it because they don't look at a tox thing for people that are 90 like that. So they aspirated stuff and everything. And then I had one of the fake, this is another one of the Dr. Nappy Nap family around here, because if you go into science and aren't like basically in remedial fifth grade math in like high school, you're just not going to be able to get out of here and go to college without meeting Nazis and being just too associated with the Nazis or anything else. I mean, you really do have to be beneath the special ed kids in high school that are graduating. Um, anyway, had a wonderful meeting with everybody else that came over. Um, had my third cousin Ashley show up at the house, which is they're all playing the same Ashley using the same social security number. And none of them have been able to pass the DNA test since I was 13, so they're considered gone and everything. And they came over like right after Hanukkah or something else, to try and Christmas the place up. And most of them are with the Skippy family, which I'm just going to put this in here, and this will sum up everything for you. They're major war criminals from there, of the Sunshine Brigade. They came from Rome, say that Japan will always defend them because true Japanese never give up the war flag that has the stripes coming out of it, from the sun, the rays of the sun. And it's just absolutely ridiculous with it all. And basically, since they're yellow headed Romans, it's just insane stuff. Nice, because they threw them out and they all tried to dress like Bedouin whatevers. And they came here and tried to establish their royalty situation. They change the name all the time, and basically they want to find out the stuff that they have here in their network and everything. And it just keeps getting bigger. I mean, from cocaine to everything else in the world, it's absolutely ridiculous. And it's like they will leave somebody in the middle of a huge intersection that's kids covered in so much cocaine that it's like you were salting the body in Egypt. And I've watched this and I've had people complain at me, and it's like, you're the adults here. This is the middle of, we'll just throw out one of the roads, Kingston Pike, and there's a bank cam over my shoulder. And the bank people actually took their handguns, because you could carry them then, and would not let people that were in federal agencies and a Secret Service agent take the server. It was better to fight them And honestly, they won over the 3 agents. Then their backup showed up, who was just one guy coming because they were really overwhelmed at that time, and decked the guy, jumped in the car, and drove the car laying in the front seats, holding the steering wheel, looking between the steering wheel and the top. Man, I just got chewed out again for something that's like when I was 8, that I didn't say anything or do anything, and I'm like, I don't know what happened to that guy. And the other guy that got shot in the middle of the road, I really do, care about. I mean, he was really nice to me, even if it's just like, 2 months of meetings and just being able to walk by and say hi and being like a normal person. And I just look at it and it's like the Skippy family. And, I know there's Skippy Whippy. And they were going on hacking the booth where we sell strategic metal to the War Department that I work at. You can be like, oh my God, he's one of them conscientious observers from the whatever it is movie that Mel Gibson did that had Josh Dobbs in it, I think. And I just kind of sit there and go on and just look at it. And they hacked and said that under their religion and code of ethics that they brought here to put on people and their thing that they made up to control the Jewish people, I am now an Arab. And it's like, legalistically under the law, I have a Christmas tree in my house, so you can't do anything to me or say anything over that. And I understand that I have a fake one, so there's not enough sap for you to really use it as a firebomb, secondary incendiary inside the house source. But, and I have been in a house where they have thrown the bricks through, and whoever it is that's around that can verify that will say 100% that those things never happened and that we live in the little White House thing and we all have to... Seriously, there's not enough that I could say to these blonde-headed idiots. And, the nicest one of them is the one that's been arrested for meth. So I know this one computer person who's like number 3 to 5 of something called with an A that will show up. And, her kids went through and got weapons in the house. And it's like, he didn't even know that she was from back there in the back of the subdivision. And the little, 6-year-olds and elementary schoolers were like, when I took the mallet and stuff like that away, it's like, weapons? You can hide them better than that. He doesn't know that she got one of the kitchen knives that's short and sitting on it right now. And this is something that randomly happens whenever, the Nazi in-laws or whatever the hell it is come over. They steal the keys and try and get into the gun room. Thank God that one time they really just, fucked up and started putting rifle shells and the wrong shotgun shells in everything and got the top part fucked up and had the tube filled with the right ones on one of them. And, my dad loved that one set of keys that the guy tore up, and it's like, it doesn't matter because the government will just let them replace anybody. And they love the Skippy family and them because it's like, we've never known what they really were doing over there. And it's like, freedom of religion didn't mean that we included anybody. It meant that we didn't have people who come over here and try and put regulations and everything else. And even if you break the law, like you use whatever it is on it, like say you went out and killed a Mickey whale or a blue whale or a humpback whale, dragged it on shore and started cutting it up and were feeding 500 of your family members, and then the rest of it you were salting and putting in, and you didn't have an end of an excuse license or something else like that, and you're doing this, right outside of Los Angeles County or whatever it is, we get an open spot out there, and just being like, hey, you want a piece of this whale steak? Or else you shot a horse and the FBI came over and, then arrested you for having a Confederate party or something else like that. Mule Zonkey is supposed to qualify under that, but they really don't go with the Zonkies. Or donkeys. And I'm just saying, it is absolutely hilarious with what the federal government will let people do in order to try and find out where anything's at, and just let them kill, murder, rape, pillage, everything, whatever it is. And, in Jewish society, there's no such thing as you become an Arab now. And Ishmael is not an exiled person in it, and neither is Esau. They're not lesser children or anything else. This is an old Civil War situation that they push. There's another one out there in Eden. And in the last, I don't know, I guess at coronavirus time, since it's not like this is the happy paradise of the world, the Eden stuff kind of like lost out. And they've been like, here's the dominoes. So they'll hit whatever it is in Civil War, trying to push that. And I was actually supposed to graduate like high school at like 10 or something. And they were all like, it'll be better if he socializes. Bullshit. Get the degree and leave. There's nothing there. And then you got like, what? Well, I just need to learn to socialize on my own so I can go out and find hookers and prostitutes, like some yellow-headed person that I get blamed for all the time out throughout the 90s and stuff. So it's like I'm used to people going, so how many prostitutes you been around, Colin? Oh, no, I was watching your mother to make sure these, the new muscle that came into town didn't clock her on the head and throw her in the creek. It's like I ain't going to do shit out there once she passes the bowling alley. Everybody over there is supposedly loyal to you all. It's like, I really hate it with this one guy because he's the only one with a criminal record, because he used to sell like 2 or 3 bags of meth out there. And I'm going, I know he's selling to that's why she was hacking in last night. Then she pretended to be this one person, and it's like computer blackface is so bad nowadays. And it's like, you do know that don't match their background skin tone. It is absolutely ridiculous. And you still had like the top part here is your hair, not theirs. And saying that they were the sacred rabbis of me, they can tell me whatever. A rabbi is the person who is a scholar who's there for like, so I need to ask you over this for anything else with it, since you're basically the person who reads the books all day, and tell me what this is. They really have no religious authority in any type of society. It's basically they're all there for learning how to be better in the society, working in society, and not letting anybody be thought of like a skank, drug dealer, weird, schizophrenic, things like that. Maybe trying to diversify the economy a little bit if there's like a prepper community or something else, because they don't have that job there, and seeing about how it was done traditionally in there. And then you would need a priest or shaman to come in, be from another area, so they could say that it was holy and everything else, and was able to be moved over to a temple or sacrificial situation for it. There's another one that's over at the like zeros, whatever it is kind of like set up because of Christianity's oppression off of stuff and everything. But you can say you're not a USA citizen because you're a felon, because you can't vote. And I'm just like, if it's after parole, say it's the next election afterwards and they get to vote, next big presidential or something else like that. And I just look at it with this guy that graduated at 13 and came in and started busting my chops. Was supposed to be arrested over at the middle school for being in a middle school that he wasn't supposed to be in. And, he's Skippy Whippy's kid. And he is a complete asshole douchebag. And I'm just going, when they set you up and I'm going, you're so intelligent, you have no street smarts. You went out and told them all the ways underneath the First Amendment that we outlawed different forms of Christianity. And said all these groups will come here and kill off your Native Americans, your Jews, your Founding Father lineages, and we're going to extinct you, make a constitutional referendum, which they are talking about now, make the Constitutional Convention and change the entire Constitution into a theocratic thing underneath Jesus Christ, which is what everyone was trying to get away from. And there it go. And even Sean Hannity says there's no more original lines of the Founding Fathers. So no one can know anything of that. And I mean, they regularly cyber assault people, everything else. I was going to do a whole bunch of stuff, and I'm just like, I took a year off from writing all the history and memoirs of my family that they've all said, which I have tons of people who walk around this whole city doing the Pope Pius thing and being like they're not really USA citizens. They've all been issued from a certain government, like when the Crusader Kingdom was founded in Morocco, that you can see in the movie Kingdom of Heaven. It's actually a real thing. They don't let Jews eat crabs, even though everybody's like, you can't eat any type of fish unless it's covered from the tip of its head to the tip of its tail in scales. So it's like, there's no scale over the eye of fish. They have skin in between their fins. Well, that doesn't really, nope. The riddle is, it's a crab, langolisto, lobster, shrimp. Well, it has to come from, yeah, I know, the 1,000-year shrimp in the middle of the desert so that there'll never be any more. Yeah, when the rains come in the Sahara. Yeah. Yeah. Y'all catch leaflets with your teeth or with your hands and be like, we've lived here seriously because the only tan people in the entire world are in Arabian desert areas. Yeah, they're not Europeans anyway with the Roman Empire, in the 30s, before the Nazis got there. I mean, I'm just saying there's some things out there that just, if you just thought for it, it's not even really thinking about it, but it's like, oh, I am aware of that fact. Oh, yeah. Well, they're not all Mexicans going across the border saying that they don't eat pork and everything else, which I just go, you do know in Catholic countries, anywhere there's Catholic royalty, Jews are only allowed to eat pork. They're not allowed to eat cow, generally speaking, or horse, one of those big red meat animals. And like half the people that I know that are in synagogues, and this is one that I want to piss them off with, and it's like, you just look at Skippy Whippy's kid and be like, well, obviously he's going to be looked at with this and everything else, and everyone's going to say, I'm going to say that they're all children, stupid, scared little people hiding in the fields with rabbits or in the woods. But with everything else that I want to really say with everything, I just look at it and be like, when you wanted to sit there and be the Capri of the Hadesic group, I think that's human sacrifice in Hadesic. There's capricious, Capri, and Capra. It's been a while since I've had anybody to speak with me in that, and they all go on that it's a dead religion and they're all extinct and everything. Kind of like that Greek Jewish group and everything else, and the Sephardins. And, if the USA does go theocratic with the 20 goat sacrifices, the Sephardics, who have goat for Passover, are not going to be allowed to have that in the USA, and they'll just go around the world and kill everybody on their, 20th birthday or whatever it is, because they've gone to a Passover that many times. I mean, you could get 21 out of it, depending on what your birthday is. But I'm just looking at it going, when the NIV Bible becomes something, you need to realize what the hell it means to live in a Christian theocracy. Seriously. We don't live in that. Even the states that have Jesus in their stuff, it's kind of like the opposite thing. That's the Jesus we don't like and was oppressing us and trying to rule and own us. And I know this is going to be really long. No one ever watches my stuff anyway, but you look at Skippy Whippy's little, fourth generation from him or something, and he's still going strong. He looks younger than me, this original war criminal from Rome. And it's like, don't worry, don't be like the Germans, just eat all the evidence and turn the bones into bread. I mean, this is the whole thing out there. And I mean, he got a degree from Oak Ridge National Laboratories in Jewish studies. Think about it for a second and think about how open Jewish studies is. That they're really trying to be like, you're free to walk around, do whatever it is, and then you're going to tell everybody. And this one person that I know of says that, out of the Ashleys, says that she's a special agent of the USA. Any way she looks at it or anything else, you ain't nothing and you're an asset. And it's like this, assets are always just there to have their ass roasted in some form or fashion. They don't really think through anything. It's like Tom Clancy's guy is basically a guy who could get money, do it all himself, and invest things and get so much extra money out in the background of all the things out there. He never went to any place for training. He never went to any place official. So therefore, there's no official record of him. And whatever money he gets is no different than a guy who's on the street who'll knock someone's tooth out for you for $5. He just knows how to market himself a little bit more and walked off of college. Now, in looking at all this, I just look at it and go, Skippy. Little whatever. You told them every way that you were going to come here, set up networks, enslave the USA, win the war for Rome, and everything. They go, well, I guess you graduated in a thing of Jewish studies. I know you took all your classes over at Oak Ridge in the military base because you had to go through things so fastly. Yes, you're a 13, 12-year-old rabbi. We can't certify people as priests. You have to go over to Israel or someplace like that, or old Europe, or else over in Poland, one of their universities they've set back up. Yeah. You think you bought it? I'm going, did you hear that when you got maybe one car length from them? 2 steps past a Toyota Camry. Did you? Think back. I know you got a security force that doesn't give me a view on this, so you can hear it. So, however it is, if you want to go out there and say that Jews have an exilization and you become an Arab, this really isn't true. It's Christian propaganda bullshit. Now, there was a certain date that came up to where the Romanians let people live and do or whatever it is in society, didn't have to wear any special markers or anything else, and they were judged basically like everybody else, and all that kind of stopped. And I'd love to do something over the conjunction or anything else, but you have really taken the cake here. And everything else with the hacks and everything else like that. And they all want to push and say that it's these other people of like high-end means that are there, that are like this. It's like, my company is not even remembered after the manager that's on duty. So I can't be held financially responsible. That's how you do with your people, as they have a celebrity pushing it. They have a company name that's there for it. And then where are you at strategically not there? You really should have thought of this. I mean, after all, nothing else. If you did sell all the stuff and the art and had gold bars and everything, they just need the money back from that. I mean, do you realize you have a nutter on you? And it just shoots money out. I mean, I know I've lost the point on one thing out there, but, with the possibility of this other family that was replaced, that, when they took over the city and everything is so bad here, and I mean, 9 blocks of whatever it is burned to the ground, and was a little city. And it's like they can all start over there, their lives and everything. And it's like, how many of the surrounding places out there did they kill and just replace the people and said there's open immigration? And that they were too stupid to know what it was, and they just opened up a suitcase of money. I mean, that's really why other governments make other currencies, is to come there and be like, well, these people don't like us. They don't like any government, so maybe they'll be there with that. But that guy was dragged off and said that they weren't going to take him or anything else. Had a French chef knife in him, and yeah, he's going to pick up like 20, 30 kids they all knew. They all had their cars at 16. And he liked bad boys in the movies. And they had to get rid of him because he would call himself on the street because no one was going to use their names because no one's going to go back to their houses or anything. And you can say whatever it is, I'm looking off the left or right, and then I'm lying. I just don't really like looking directly into the light that's right beside the camera. And looking at myself, they just say it's too much grandeur. Whenever they go up for review with their illegal justice department. That thinks they're the DOJ around here. But anyway, in saying all of this to you, whoever does look at this, that guy was dead. There wasn't going to be 4 or 5 cars pick us all up. He went out and found out where the last Americans were supposedly going to be at. There's a group around here, it's like they even look for the X-Men, deciding that's where the Jews went to out there. That's why there's a lot of crap being done in Saskatchewan and Alberta with the Native Americans there and everything. And it's like a little mini Zoo Man thing because the population's so not dense. And I just look at it and go, you would love these people because they're very famous name and very famous people. And they even put it in the Wolverine movie, Death of Wolverine or something else, with that comic book. I've actually seen that comic book. They've all been at the Mrs. Winters. It's now the Kobe's. When we would go there for biscuits in the morning before school, and they'd be going over it, talking nonstop over it and everything, really wild and crazy stuff. And they will go and try and find the last American people out there. And their people are getting ready to walk off and everything else because they're so old. And they'll get their ass trounced this time around. And I'm really am sorry. I mean, I've got like 3 or 4 places I could guess at out there, right outside of NORAD and in the central heartland from Oklahoma up to Nebraska, and kind of a weird little L there. But there's not anything I can do about it. They got rights to travel, and other than them doing things that's like, it's too far in between with whatever they did with other stuff, going to the Appalachians, the Rockies, and other stuff in the Desert Southwest way back in the 60s and 50s. There's the whole shit with the 3 hours of hacking trying to tell me that Jewish people contact and talk with each other through microwave radiation stuff being pinpricked into their head, and that they have to have huge amounts of mercury and other stuff and lead put into their bodies, and that all the Jewish people just refer to, because Thomas Paine's whole thing was that it was too close to what the Western Europeans, Central Europeans, and the people of the Eastern Orthodox, the Turks, all went on about and everything. And yes, they changed some of the language. It was actually done in Congress meetings and certified. Therefore, no one could just come over and be that much of a poor, dumbass, ignorant commoner, and that we all just went under with a commoner language that basically a lot of people call Eurotrash, because it's a universal language that you can kind of get along and play get along going around the whole Europe backpacking. They actually have a language like that. It's like Tex-Mex or, Yiddish or other stuff. But it doesn't mean you're necessarily Jewish. it's really funny listening to you all, and you're self-professed, self-centered, self-said that you are Jews, that you are this, and as such, the Western kingship powers have all allied and aligned against you, and that you are now exiled from here because we don't recognize your rights as a country. And I'm just like, dude, you don't have any rights. You're not even with them. You're unreconstructible. It's just complete idiocy. And I mean, the hacking that you all do there, and the constant interrogational bullshit from even your people that you got in, like at the Abu Ghraib girls and on the police department and everything else. You can't speak English. You can't speak the USA, and you go, English is for England. And the Moors are here to change you and say you speak American. And it's like, whatever, mercantile. Just because you sell shit don't mean shit. I'm like, it's just fucking ridiculous with it. And I mean, I would go on about some of these Pope Pius bullshits that it's like, I can't be part of any government. And I'm just like, And what was Abraham? He was part of a government, a slave of a government, human sacrificial person of a government, worked his way up, made his own government with some people, escaped, made himself the leader of the government, was the only sole survivor, pretty much, of the government. What was the other thing? They can't be part of any government because of Egypt. And it's like, slaves are still part of the government in Egypt. And then it's like all the other governments that were there that they worked with, whatever it is. He was part of the Pharaoh government. He went and left different governments and then reestablished his own government. Became parts of governments, everything else. I'm like, and this is just, and it's like, so you sacrifice yourself from your Catholic king group or queen group when they exiled the Jews, most notably the 1241. I think that's when they took Madrid. Don't have it in front of me. Went out there and said the Jews can no longer be here. El Cid and all of his people are exiled from here. And they went and kind of like took up with Arab peaceful sultans or other sultans and established their own kingdoms and stuff like that. And there was a group of people who sacrificed themselves separate from their own government to try and go out, learn everything, excuse me, show themselves as clergy, immerse themselves completely into the culture, wearing clothes that were assigned to them, said were under the interpretation of the Christian area, and everything else, or else just any way that they could to infiltrate, pretend, and become these people. And then basically sit around there and have no kids and, die poped without ever trying to be a pope because they're too corrupted by society and everything. Now, in looking at this, I know everybody's going to get mad at me, everything, and basically they either enslaved them to their version of perversified orthodoxy, saying those words together, to whatever it is over means of necessity, etc., etc. And basically that just means they can get them to go to cannibalization, and it turns them in from the non-human sacrificial people, whatever it is, into fat lumps of whatever. Now, I know that this is really cuckoo, crazy, all this shit. It's inner workings between basically a group of people that are like Gargamel, the Catholics, the Christians, the Protestants, everything else, and NIV Bible people and other stuff. And also a lot of these orthodoxy, just to throw this in here, this perversified orthodoxy, have a trigger for them. And it's whenever they go to a country and they make a Bible that's for whatever it is, because there's like a forbidden food. It's like, I'll just go with Spain since I mentioned that. Anyone who goes out there pretty much before Operation Condor, because there was a lot of changes to the dogma and stuff then, that ate lamb. Seriously, it's like sheep just roam free and wild over the Iberian back in the day. So everybody was cast out of society after 1241. Basically, they had meat, they had lamb. So, and lamb was considered to be like the most disgusting, dirty, horrible thing, because, you got this whole place. It's like all the trees are cut down. There's just mud slides and slips everywhere for it. They're mining everything they can so they can get like just, a piece of rock to throw at each other and everything else. So you look at a woolly sheep and you think about like if your dog rolled in its own feces. Sheep are like 10 times worse with so much more matted hair and everything. They are just the disgusting little things. I mean, they have to have complete grass, pure pasture, everything else. I mean, lamb is just disgusting little things. And unless they're in the middle of the woods, there's not really anything there. And they get infested with fleas, ticks, lice, everything. I mean, you have to burn the hair off of it just to try and use the skin for something else out there, and it's not really the best leather in the whole world. It is absolutely disgusting, and if any Spaniard would eat that, or else someone in their units that was the Pompadour, like the leader or something else, or any of these espionage, kind of like, perversified orthodoxy that went in there and ate lamb with them, they are completely separate. They are like cast out. I mean, it is like NIV Bible people in a theocracy. Since Jesus ran the pigs off, there's actually a thing in a Bible somewhere, not saying where it is, that the sheep were ran off the cliff where Legion was. And it is absolutely ridiculous with it. And it's like, if you go past whatever, saying that Jesus rejected the pigs, the everything. Some people say that it's like, Legion had 1,000 children, and he was going out there and he was going to have children for all the people in his destroyed village, which is provable. There was a village that was at the time that was up the road. They've done a Discovery Channel thing on it. It has Roman frescoes, everything else, and built on top of Jewish ruins. So Legion was like the sole survivor, and he was supposed to have kids for all these people in his village because he knew them the most. And he had the flocks of all of them there because it's the animal that the Romans wouldn't eat. So, looking at all of it and everything else with it, once someone ate the lamb came here, or else ate the pigs in the NIV Bible, they can't really go to Gutenberg, whatever it is, or whatever that one is out there that has the slain pig on the throne of heaven. They have to go to a country, and it's like, maybe that country will make a Bible theocracy that has a slain animal, whether it's horse or, in the USA, because horse is so with the Confederacy. But I mean, I know this is running so long, and I just really don't care. It was just so much with them trying to do stuff to people and anything by any means necessary last night, which I know they can do a whole lot more, because, we had buildings come down in Knoxville. We had all this come down, and it's like, it's like how they say they work up me to go and talk to other people of color, or else like go and talk to white people. And, it's like, it's not really talking. It's just to be mean to people. And I'm just going, whatever. That's why I don't really have friends in the area. And I don't really care. People are not anything. And it's like, I've already had them say that I have the Bible over here. It's all Old Testament. It still says it hates Jesus. And he blows, and you can tell him so. But with everything out there with it, these people need to have a literary and a biological time thing. So it's like they have a human sacrificial person, they bring the Bible in, and that they've all reawakened. And it's like they can be a terror cell for 200 or 300 years. That's what they call it now. And they just go to a place and hope that they will make a Bible for them nationally that's recognized, a Bible for their house that is recognized somehow as like their personal property or personal religion, or else nationally. We've already gone past the family stuff. We've already gone past nationally recognizing a Bible for all Christians in the USA so that we can have a way to deal with them. And now we're supposedly going to have a constitutional convention to make Christianity the law of the land. And say the Constitution derives solely from the Bible. And this is when they will have their version, and it will hit so fast and so hard that I doubt even the international media will even see it. And it is absolutely ridiculous with it. And I mean, I have to go, and I live with a whole Mason Lodge of 1241s all the time growing up and everything else. And they literally are the most stupidest, craziest people I've ever met. And they never stop. And I mean, this is establishing a royalty in the USA over this. And you can be like, well, there's other things than Christian royalties and you're just Christian bashing. No. Our freedom of religion separated us from all these situations that you all do, say, and everything else. From the lineage of Jesus to Alvin America's house, like with Paris Hunter, and the house of Jesus with Andy Metcalf, and the Japanese emperor and everything else, who is a human sacrificial person. When they get full religion, he does have the right to sacrifice the Jews off again. That's why he's a secondary tribal. Is Rome just came along and said, so you're 16,000 years old? Okay, we're older than that by whatever it is. But thanks for keeping our documents over here for us. And they do have the right to sacrifice off any half-breed, any half, whatever it is, of the, if I said Hana, I'm probably going to be off with syllables today for the Hala and everything else. It kind of goes through there. And since they're not with Jesus necessarily, they don't use any of the Christian terminology, so it's like it's totally just bizarre to them and everything. It's like, Portuguese Jews, they're called wizards, and everybody's with Gandalf and Lord of the Rings and stuff, and they're back in the tribalistic times before, their leaders were killed off and they had to accept Christianity and not the Jews, the leaders of the area there, and became underneath Rome's yoke. But this is just how it all goes. And then they said, you've always been humanly sacrificing these people off. Well, there's been conflicts and wars and everything else. It wasn't any real human sacrifice. It's like, you get all your magic powers of you. And now kill this one and just go. Don't you feel it tingling in you? Yeah. Well, you defeated us and you took all of the power of the Jews and everything. But it's what you always were. You're with us and you've just forgotten. We can teach you everything and construct you back to being with us. You're just going to die in the front lines like an idiot bullet catcher. Anyway, I'm just going to stop right here because I'm sure that I've not really done anything, moved anything forward or anything else. There's other things, but I know how bad it is if I go basically Italian, because if they call you a holy or something else, it's really bad. And I'm really not trying to be too much of a dick here with 44 minutes. But there's some people that go on about their end of the world manifestos with porch farmers and other stuff. So, here, like and subscribe. Colin James Dawson.